Hey, welcome in everybody to another episode of Launchpad Reseller Podcast. I'm Bob, the Rocket City Reseller, and we are your mission control for all things reselling. Whether you've been selling for 20 minutes or 20 years, we're sure we can learn something together. And of course, couldn't do this without my trusty co hosts. We have from the wild, wacky world of whatnot, She Shed 244, Ashley. Hey, Ashley, how are you tonight?
Good. How
Doing
about
good?
everybody? Yep.
Good. Doing good. And of course, we have our hustling mama, the mama who never stops schooling those babies when she's not schooling them. She's schooling us in all things toys. Of course, Ellie, Tennessee Treasures. Hey,
Hi,
Ellie.
everybody.
And of course, the reason why you're all here, the one, the only, the road to 500K. I'm scared. He's a legend in the making. ShawnsFinds.
Hi,
Hey, Sean.
Welcome.
Welcome in, man. How are you?
I'm good. How about you guys?
We're excited for you to be here. I was just telling you off screen, I'm a fan, and I know that there's a lot of people who are as well. So I appreciate you doing this and taking the time to talk to us.
No, I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. So you got a lot going on, but before we get into that, normally what we do is we start with, how you came to reselling and things like that. And normally people usually start about like when they decided to start reselling. But if you happen to have a story about when you were younger that led you to it, that is also nice. So those types of things I think people can appreciate because that kind of leads the story. So if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to reselling, we'd appreciate that.
Well, I'm going to say it started before I could even remember. My grandparents used to set up like at a big local flea market swap meet, and they had a full-size bus where they removed all the seats besides like the first couple so they could fill it with junk and take it to the flea market. And they used to strap my car seat with ratchet straps down to one of the bus seats to take me to the flea market with them. So
Perfect.
That's
I guess you could say it started there.
yes.
But
A long line of hustling grandparents. I love it.
I am jealous. I might steal that idea. School bus to the flea market.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
genius. That's
but then
genius.
after that, I grew up pretty poor, so my family went yard sailing on the weekends just to buy stuff around the house, our clothes, tools. Half the stuff we owned came from yard sales, so I kind of just realized that stuff's cheap, and sometimes it's cheaper than what you could resell it for, and it just spiraled from there.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow, that's crazy. So, um, what were you doing before eBay? Did you have something else that you were doing? Were you
Oh,
like an auto mechanic or something? Because I see you taking
no,
apart cars on.
Yeah, the exterior for sure.
actually, I worked in a insulation factory here in my town. So it's a factory they melt glass at like 2,000 degrees and turn it into fiberglass insulation for your walls. But we work 12-hour shifts. So one day I'd have 3 days off, and the next day I had 4 days off. So I was selling on eBay part time and slowly building and building and building my store until it got to the point where my last full year at the factory, I made more on my off days on eBay than I did in the factory. So at that point, I finally convinced my wife to let me go full time, and I've been full time for 3 years
Awesome.
now.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Oh,
awesome. Wow, there's so much like to unpack there. It really is like for me, I'm envious of that type of like workflow and that can lead to that full time. I would love to be able to do this full time. So for me, that resonates for sure. Man,
It wasn't easy. It took like a special drive because when I worked at the factory, we worked 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So, and I'm a big believer in 1 day handling. So I was getting up at 4 a.m. to get my shipping out before I went into work. And then I'd come
mm,
home in the evening sometimes because it can get 120 degrees in that factory and all sweaty and gross. And I'd throw me up like 5 listings before I hop in the shower because I also believe in daily listings. So I didn't want to miss out on not listing something that day. So,
that's wild. That's the kind of determination and consistency that breaks them old.
if
That's
you
the
had to
kind of
go
thing.
there every day, you do.
Yeah,
That was enough to push you to want to get out of there. So,
mm.
yeah. it always stems back to the same thing from when you gotta want it more than you don't. You really do when it comes down to it. And I see it every time that we interview someone. I'm starting to see a repetitive like a pattern to it. Everybody who is of a success on this thing, because eBay will it's the most intentional thing I've ever seen. You'll get out of eBay what you put into it. I'm starting to notice.
Absolutely.
So, and that's crazy to think about because you're having a lot of success there. And before we do that, get into the reasons why, what your story is in regards to what your plans are for the future. I want to talk about the steps. So you're in a factory, you're sweating your ass off, you're melting glass into fiberglass. You're to the point where you're like, I'm gonna do the conversation with the wife. Is it one of those things over months, or is it just one day you're just like, hey, listen, this is it?
It was a combination over years. But like, I think I could have probably gone full time even a year or 2 years early. But she's a very play it safe, no chances. She's a school teacher, so she has her nice steady job that always pays, and I think that kind of scared her of me taking that leap and not having that weekly paycheck coming to our home. So, and I promised her, I said, I pay myself a salary every week. And I was like, I will match that salary every week. And if for some reason I can't do it one week, I'll go straight back to work. And I keep pushing. So that hasn't been a problem. So
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
goals.
So, yeah, that's kind of where we are as well. It's kind of reverse. Like my wife does this full time and I am part time. I'm also a software engineer. I do that full time during the day. So, I think that's part of the reason why she's scared for me to go full time. It's just like that security of knowing.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah, but you can also plan for that, right? So for those that are just starting to think about maybe going full time from a part time thing, what does that number? You don't have to give me exact numbers, but what does that actually look like? Do you have 3 months in the bank of like costs and expenses? Like, what's that?
that's me and my wife are kind of Dave Ramsey-ish kind of people. I don't know if you're familiar with them. So we always strive to have that backup in the bank. And I made sure I had it in the business account as well. So I could pay my salary regardless of what sales looked like. So,
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense because for me, I think that's what it would need to be too. I need to make sure that, like, God forbid, I mean, if something fell on you in the garage, right? What does that look like?
absolutely.
And also you start to think about things like insurance and other things that you take for granted with a full-time W-2 job. So obviously she's a teacher, and I'm sure you have benefits through that. And
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. I get mine. I've been trying to kind of talk her into joining me, but that's a whole nother leap. So
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that brings us into the next thing. I know the crew here has a bunch of questions, but you have everything structured out in your shop, and we're going to talk about, like, where are you in the world? Like, let's start there. Where are you in the grand scheme of like state-wise?
I'm in central Indiana.
She said, what do you got on your shirt?
I don't know if you've heard of Eaton or Muncie, but that's where my mom and my dad is from Eaton. So I'm
about an hour from Muncie. So
that's what I was like. Yeah, it shouldn't be but an hour because I know I've been through Shelbyville. I'm actually going at the end of the month. I'm very excited. I'm ready for pork tenderloins and Pizza King.
Yeah, we have those. There's an auction on high bid that's in Muncie that I buy in every once in a while, and I'll drive up there to do an auction pickup. So
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Pork loin sandwiches. You had me at a sandwich. I've never had a pork loin sandwich, but I'm in.
I'm telling you, it's living. It is super thin, pounded down, coated. You got to get it. I mean, breaded. You got to get everything on it.
And everybody has their favorite spot.
Exactly. Everyone, it's like a certain locations you have to go. because it's specific to each one. And when we say a sandwich, this is your bun. It is outside of your bun. It is
Oh yeah.
chef's kiss. I'm telling you, awesome.
My local spot's at a gas station where everyone wants to get theirs. In Shelbyville, the best one's at a gas station. You go in that gas station at lunchtime, and there's usually always 5 or 6 guys in line. They get a tenderloin at the gas station.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Sorry about that, y'all. My internet is crazy.
No, you're good.
No worries.
I'm back. Oh my goodness. So, food aside, in Indiana is a good place to be a picker, from my understanding. What's that been like for you? Because I've seen your videos. Like, if you're not following Shawn on YouTube, ShawnsFinds on YouTube, your little warehouse or building or whatever you got going on there, there's a lot to unpack.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw that video.
I lease a spot in like a old rundown shopping center on like the dying side of my town and it was just cheapest square foot I can get with climate and a bathroom, and so I lease 2,000 square foot in like an old shopping center.
Nice.
And I just keep the door locked, and I have a sign on the front door saying, "Hey, I buy stuff with my phone number," and I get guys calling me all the time to sell me stuff. So
Nice. Win-win.
Yeah, that is win-win. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Don't come in. Don't bother me with that face-to-face customer service stuff.
I
remember
used
the
to
video
have it
though. You
open.
tried that, right?
I used to have it open, but I haven't. There's no pawn shop in my town, and there'd be times like 10 people would be wandering in my warehouse waiting for their turn to sell me something, and it just became a problem. I wasn't getting my listings done or getting shipping out the door before the postman got there. So, and a couple things walked away, and
Yeah.
homeless
Yeah.
guys would dig through trash to try to bring me stuff. So it was.
Wow.
With the door locked, I can kind of filter and say, "What do you got for sale?" when they call, and let them know if I'm interested or not. And it kind of weeded some of that.
Send me pictures.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Is this available? I'm just kidding. Facebook.
Yeah.
No.
So what we normally don't ask people like where they source, but you've been pretty open on your social media and about like where you're getting things from, your thought process in regards to picking that stuff up. Let's talk about it.
Well, my goal with because I'm most active on Facebook because you can share posts and stuff as well. My goal is just to show anybody that's thinking about doing this part-time or even full-time that you could make 6 figures a year doing this, and I want to lay out the blueprint for them. It's no secret. I go to garage sales, flea markets, auctions, Goodwill bins, pretty much anywhere where you can get stuff. I go. Like, I'm pretty active on high bid. I'm always searching high bid for auctions. So I'm a big believer in going and buying in bulk. Because I think once you reach a certain level, like I have 8,000 plus listings, so it's not uncommon for me to sell 20 or 30 items a day. If you just drove to Goodwill stores and Salvation Armies, I don't think you could replace the 20 or 30 items every day unless you buy in bulk.
So you said something about that makes me wonder. You said you have 8,000 listings right now on eBay?
I think it's right around 8,200.
So that's kind of interesting. So do we, but it's plush. Right.
Yes.
I think that's the difference, right? So you're an everything reseller. So numbers wise, I know where I am with numbers. That's what I do for work. But you're at, and you've been really open about that too. We'll talk about it. You did a where you just basically said, "This is my eBay 1099. This is what I made on eBay," and I think the number was like 350. Was that it?
I think it was 308 last year.
308. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
So from 8,000 listings to 308, that takes a curated eye, we'll say. Okay. You're not just picking up anything, you're picking up certain things. And I've noticed that we're doing the same too now, even with Plush. We used to pick up everything. Now we're picking up certain things that we know.
Yeah.
Oh, our average sale price. What's your average sale price look like? Do you know that off the top
I
of your
actually
head?
think I figured it out today. It was like $42 currently.
Man,
It's pretty good.
that's what I'm talking about. That's how you get there, though. You have to figure that out. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle sometimes when they first, specifically when they first start, right? they tend to like, I know I can get this and I know I can sell it. But that's true. You can do all those things. You can sell it with enough time, enough patience, enough space.
Yes.
But sell-through rate, right? How fast can I sell it, and for what price can I sell it?
Right.
Do you have a line in the sand, or is it?
I'm actually not one of those snobs. You hear the guys online, I only buy stuff that's $50 or more or $20 or more. When I go to auctions, a lot of times, I don't know how, if you guys are plush buyers, you probably don't do a ton of auctions, I'd imagine. But a lot of times, you can't just take the one item. They want to give you like a whole tote as random stuff with your one item. So sometimes you're buying that one good $50, $60 item that's in like a box lot of a bunch of $10 items. And I'll list that $10 stuff because it's either listed or throw it away. So I do list some bad, slow moving items over throwing it away, but I just try to put the priority on the nicer stuff before I list the $10, $15 kind of items. So I don't have a hard line. If you look at my store, you'll see $4 or $5 CDs that's been on there for 4 or 5 years. They'll eventually sell, is how I kind of look at it. So
Yeah.
Some people say that slows your store down, but I don't think that's necessarily true.
I've heard that theory, and not to sound cocky, like I've had people tell me that, and I'm like, well, I sold $300,000 last year, and I had
Boom.
some junk listings.
Slow me down. What would that
So,
number look like?
yeah, so like, I hate to be that guy who says that, but like, you get people, you know how the internet is. You get people that will come their authority, and I'm like, well, I got an example of, here's my example that's real. So
Internet experts. Yep.
yes.
Yeah, I see a lot of that now. We just had a post on Facebook. My wife doing inventory. I don't know. I think you commented on it, Shawn.
Oh yeah,
where she's
yeah.
standing in
I
front of
wish I had the time to do that. I'm jealous of that. I saw going through all that stuff.
So she did it in 13 days, right? She went through 350 of those totes and 25 totes a day or something like that. So someone just comments like, yeah, but you need to let them out and play with them. I'm like, that's not the point of the post.
Yeah, there's some weirdos out there, isn't there?
So you open yourself up to that kind of thing. So,
yeah, I'm learning that because I've been more active since November on social media. Just then I realized I always knew there was trolls that existed, but I always see them like targeting like famous people with huge accounts, and I'm like, it's just little old me. Why are you out here in my comments?
Yeah.
You never.
But I guess it happens everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So can I ask about your inventory system, right? Because like we're talking about inventory, and I know exactly how Bob and Amanda run theirs. I watched your video on YouTube. That's like the garage tour. I can't remember what it's titled. And so you have like everything. How do you keep track of that? Do you just have a spreadsheet, or?
I use the eBay custom SKU.
Okay.
No
spreadsheet.
I just in the custom SKU on eBay, I put the bin number or the shelf number, and I put the date that I listed it on there, because then when I get offers down the road, I can see, oh, this has been on here forever. So then I can accept or send more aggressive offers. So yeah, I just put it in a custom SKU, and then when you sell it on eBay, or if you sell it on iCrossList, if you sell it on one of the other platforms, the custom SKU just goes along in Nifty to the other platforms, obviously, besides Mercari and stuff. But
Shawn, it's funny that you mentioned Nifty, because this video is sponsored by Nifty. So if you're not using Nifty.ai, you really want to think about doing that, because it also is an inventory control system, like Shawn just mentioned. You can cross list, you can use generative AI, you can do Poshmark share closets, you can share your listings and recreates listings for you. It's a part-time employee for $89.99 that does full-time work. Be sure to check out Nifty.ai, code Rocket City, for 15% off your first month. Thanks, Shawn.
And if that wasn't enough, hey, take a moment and make sure to subscribe right now, because Bob, remind me the percentage.
90% of people that watch this, Shawn, can you believe it? 90% of people that watch these videos do not subscribe to the channel. Can you believe that?
I'm not surprised.
Or listening, please subscribe and hit that like button.
Everybody's watching, but no one's hitting the subscribe.
I
You
know
have that problem?
They need
You have that problem? I think if you're once you're done subscribing to this one, I want you to go over to ShawnsFinds. I want you to subscribe to him too, because on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, let's talk about what is it always Shawn Finds on all
Yes,
three?
it is. Yep.
There you go. It's as easy as that. It makes it super simple to find them on the internet. And you're going to want to do that because we're talking about the road to 500K next. And with that, Shawn, what's that look like for you? You went from 300 and your goal is to get to 5. Let's talk about what that looks like.
Well, I'm trying to do 500 gross amongst all the platforms, and that includes my flea market booths. And when it warms up here in Indiana, I will set up some swap meets and stuff like that too to move some lower end stuff or bigger stuff that I don't want to list on eBay. So my goal is to do 500,000 gross this year amongst everything. So
now tell me about what that looks like from a listing perspective. Break that down. What do you got to put up a day for numbers of listed items in order to get there?
It's very rare that I don't list at least 20. Like the day on a Monday, I think I only listed 20 because my shipping output on Monday is heavy from the weekend, but it's not uncommon during the middle of the week to list 35, 40 items and on eBay. And then I use Nifty and I pull them into the other item. I list on eBay and then I pull them in later on Nifty and then cross list those.
That's awesome. So the power of cross listing. Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah. So do you list across all the other platforms? And have you ever thought about whatnot?
I am waiting for Nifty. I'm signed up for their beta program. I'm hoping I get invited to do it, and I will start listing on their Buy It Now platform. But I've thought about doing live shows on Whatnot, but my shipping is pretty demanding as it is. So if I added a Whatnot show on top of my daily shipping, I don't think I'd get anything else done besides shipping for a day. So
yeah, true.
At that point, it would be time to hire an employee.
I've experimented with employees in the past.
Really?
I actually, in early 2025, I put it out there in my area that I was looking for one person to come in and list, and 2 applied, and I couldn't decide, so I hired them both, and neither one of them made the cut, really. Like, one made it to May, and one only made about a month.
Oh, it's hard to find good help.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard because if you're paying them hourly, you kind of want them to at least list 8 to 10 items an hour. And the one that made it to May, she was a good lister, but she just never got the speed. So there was hours that I was losing money depending on what she was listing that hour. And she just never got up to speed. If I ever did it again, I'd have to come up with a different method because
my worry
maybe
is
something more incentive based.
Yeah, my worry is like you're actually training someone to do what you do.
Right.
And
that would be my worry, I think.
The one who made it the longest, I started running into her at yard sales, and she kept asking me eBay questions, which in my head, I was naive, and I was like, oh, she's going to list at home, and that's going to make her even better here. And then on her last day, she came in and said, I think I'm just going to stay at home and list my own stuff. So,
yeah. But I got to move forward. I've been thinking about this a lot. And even before I started seeing that in your content, I've been thinking about this and ways to strategize how to get past that and make it more lucrative. So my idea is, and shoot me down if I'm wrong, y'all, but what about a paid internship? Now, hear me out. The expectation is that they're not going to stick around, right? You're just paying them for their time out of respect. But what you're doing is also building in trust in that way. You know they're going to leave. Is it worth the squeeze? Is the juice worth the squeeze in that? Depending on the person, because if they're a college student and they're a business major and they're all the things, maybe they have all the key markers to do it. You know, I wonder if that would be a way forward with that.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
I felt like if the right person ever came along, I'd probably make an incentive base where pay them like something per listing, and then like a percentage of what it sells for when it sells, and
commission.
Make it really like, hey, if you come in here and bust butt, you could make some really, really good money. Right. But I think what made me frustrated is when I would be there working in the shop, my employee was hitting like 10 or 12 listings an hour, which was pretty fair for somebody who was just starting out. But if I was out like yard selling or a flea market and she was back at the shop listing, I never let them make listings live. I'd always have them save it as a draft. And I'd be garage selling for like 2 hours and I'd happen to look at eBay and there'd only be like 6 drafts made and I'm paying them per hour and they've been at the shop all morning. And then you're in garage selling in a bad mood because you're spending money at the shop while you're out here trying to make money. And so figured if I ever did it again, I'd make it incentive based. And so if the right person wanted to come in there and really kill it, they'd make killer money, more than I would be paying them an hour, you know, but it would take the right person.
So you're pulling in that much by yourself. Does the wife help, or is it just you?
No, she will go garage sailing every once in a while, and her being a girl, she has a different eye than me. So sometimes if she'll go garage sailing with me, she'll point out like, "Hey, you should grab that pair of shoes," and something that I would walk right by. So in that regard, she helps. And then sometimes since she's a teacher, during summer breaks, sometimes she'll make like a FedEx run for me or something like that, just to give me a little bit more time. So
yeah,
I think I remember seeing in one of your short forms that where she is a teacher, you're able to take time off in the summer and the flexibility and freedom.
Yeah,
what this does for you. Let's talk about the freedom of that, because that's huge for a lot of people. Sometimes it's not just about the money, right? It's about that little bit extra time.
No, we don't have kids, so we travel quite a bit. So before, when I worked somewhere, I'd put my vacation in way in advance and hope it works out, or hope they don't try to schedule me extra forced overtime days leading up to the vacation, you know. And now it's just, we book a trip and I put it on vacation mode and we go out. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that for you. These guys are full-time resellers, and I'm sure the freedom of that must be so liberating, to be able to just be like, you know, today we're not going to do it. We're going to do this instead. So that to me is very attractive right now.
I get it.
I had this delusion when I went full-time that I was like, once I get everything up and going in the shop setup, I may get a fun little part-time job in the afternoons, but I work more hours now than I did when I had a regular job. So
the really realize you were logistics, marketing, you were all these things, right?
Yep. I wanted to ask a question in regards to the building you bought. So I'm going to assume, and I don't want to assume, but was that bought out of necessity for space? And then also another kind of side question to that, does that help with like, okay, I got to get up, I'm going to work, I'm going to the building, I'm going to list. Does it help with that mindset?
I leased the building. I don't own the building. I didn't buy it.
I'm sorry.
I leased the building. No, but it is, but I'm ready for it to be, we're kind of looking like, I'm in a 5-year lease and the building is really expensive. So our goal is to, before the lease is out, to move somewhere where I can build a building, because it is nice to have a place to go away, but there's sometimes like I'll come home around 4:35, she'll get home, we'll have dinner, my wife's a big reader, she'll go on the couch and open a book, and I'm not a big TV guy, and there'd be times like, if there's a shop right out in the backyard, I could probably go knock out another 10, 15 listings or go get a head start on tomorrow's shipping. But since my shop where I lease is 20 minutes from home, it's just not worth the run into town to go work for an extra hour. And there's times that I would probably get a little bit more done, because I always feel like I'm behind.
What does the square foot look like for that? Do you guys have the space for that on your property?
No, not on my current property. So we're kind of hunting around to kind of like wanting to build like a barn dominion kind of deal. It's just, you got to find that perfect few acres, you know?
Right.
Yeah. That's a perfect situation. You build that house with all your inventory in it. You just go downstairs when you want to list.
I just outgrew, I started in the garage here. Well, actually, Wait, in 2017, I wasn't with my wife, and I went through a breakup, and we sold the house we had together. And until I found like an apartment, I crashed on a buddy's like spare bedroom floor, and I had an air mattress and one little plastic shelf with my inventory and my laser printer, so with like 100 listings on it or whatever. And then I found an apartment, and then it overtook the spare bedroom in the apartment. And then I got with my wife, and we bought a house, and it overtook the garage and then the basement. And then it came to the point where I had to go find a spot to lease because I can't fit 8,000 listings and a death pile in the house. So,
True.
Yeah.
True.
That's a wild story. So be encouraged for those that are living that right now, right? So just know that
Yeah.
there's a way forward, even with that, right?
yeah,
You
I've had
can-
people
Yeah.
I've had people tell me like, well, I can't do what you do because I don't have that space. And I'm like, I didn't start with the space. I had to work my way up. And I've had people who use the excuse, well, I don't have a truck. Like, I didn't have a truck all the time either. Like, if I didn't have a head start, that's why I like to try to prove that anybody, as long as you're willing to put in the 50 hours a week, can.
There it is, right? It's the work, I think, is ultimately what's scaring people.
Yeah,
Because they want an easy way, right? Which is human nature to want the easy way. But to tell you what, the better way is the hard work way, because that's the one that pays dividends, right? So
I think it's a combination of the work and the finances. Like, you got to, when you're working for yourself, you got to budget. Like, there's weeks that I sell $10,000 worth on eBay, but that doesn't mean I have $10,000 to go do whatever I want. My weekly paycheck stays the same every week, and the rest stays in the business because you got to be ready to a good opportunity, or you're at the right auction and you want to go drop a few $1,000s at the auction. You got to be able to drop a few $1,000s at the auction, and you can't take your 10 grand and go on vacation for and spend it all on a vacation. So I think it's a combination of people either not managing that or able to manage the time or be willing to do the work.
yeah, so what we had recently had Cam Life on from Whatnot. He's scaled to $1 million. I think this year he finally breached it. And
great.
he said something. Yeah, no, it's awesome. He said something that really resonated. He's like, he took the opportunity of the grind once he was done getting his down payment for his house to not use that money to pay down debt or loans or other things that people normally do with reselling money. He took that money and he outsourced his business. He created a Whatnot hosting where there are other hosts that do his shows for him and do the packaging for him. So he leveraged his income from eBay to be able to stand up those employees. And it took him a while to find the right people. He did
That's
that.
the toughest part of that. Obviously,
Yeah.
as I explained earlier with my situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that being, but I think he has it finally dialed in because his hosting structures, I don't know if you've ever been on the app, but some of them are better than others, I will say. I don't like being screamed at, but that's just me. That's my preference. But some of them are just like, it's a really chill vibe and they just get it done. They lock in, they start their stuff. He does closet clear outs where they start things. If people send them items, he does consignment, start them at $1 and then you split it down the middle. So that's his model and that's his story. But it kind of resonates across through though. If you're intentional with your means, there's a way forward with that. So for me, it just all makes sense. Every time I hear one of you guys that are so super successful talk, I always lock away that information. And everybody's that's watching this podcast and listening on Spotify, we're broadcasting there too. Hello, Spotify. We see you. We just want to make them aware of folks like you, Shawn. That's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because your story is impactful to people. And I want to make sure that you have a platform to do that and talk about it. So
Yeah, and I think that's one thing you preach in a lot of your videos is like, you have people saying, well, you've been doing this for a while, you know what to look for. And it's like, yeah, but then you also are learning every day, like utilizing the technology to look up items, to find out, is this worth money? And then going, holy crud. And I think you talked about, I think in one, a lava lamp that you had posted the base for a low price, and you're like, that was the worst comp ever. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
could have got like all this money for it, but you learned from it, and you had so many people that were messaging you like, hey, I'll give you like $200, and you're like, no, I'm honoring the bid.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes down to is it's for me, it's that integrity piece to it. It's like I've learned there's stuff I've listed. I went, holy crap, are you joking? It could have been this. Like, what?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a hard struggle for like like for me, myself. I will say there's some stuff that I know it could go for big, but at the end of the day, I'm like, how long do I have to wait? So I fight with that back and forth. Like, do I want that $500 or am I okay with, $50 for it? I only paid a quarter, that sort of thing. So I think that's something I still struggle with. Is that anything you struggle with?
I have one really good podcast story about me not being so good on honoring my price.
Ooh, the juicy detail.
Yeah, this was good.
It's all good. No shade. No shade.
No, so every once in a while, people reach out to me to ask me to sell something for them. And a guy came to me with a 1945 Chicago Cubs season pass. And unlike the day where you get like your whole book full of like tickets, you get one little card and it's your pass to all the games that Wrigley filled that year. And he'd been to a bunch of games and he had it signed by a bunch of the different players. There was no comps or no record anywhere where I could find one of these season passes. So I talked to the guy and we decided to run it at an auction starting at $199. And then whatever happened. He found it in a storage unit, so he was going to be good either way. So I list it, and I hardly ever run auctions myself. And out of habit, I listed it, buy it now, and it sold in like 30 seconds at $199. Normally, if it was my personal item, screw it, I'm honoring the sale. But this wasn't mine.
Yeah.
So I canceled the sale. The guy messaged me instantly. I explained to him the situation and I apologized. He was extremely mad, used some choice words.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
He left me negative feedback on eBay. I have a Google profile for my business locally just because I'm always trying to put myself out there finding inventory. And he found my Google profile and left a 1-star review on Google.
Wow.
And
What kind
he
of
was
deep?
really mad. So I knew I had to relist this and start it at an auction. I knew all the words he said to me, so I went ahead and blocked him.
Yeah.
So, and then before I blocked him, I looked at the address, and so I knew that, like, hey, if anyone buys from this address, it's him trying to get around the system.
Mm-hmm.
So I run it as an auction, and it goes the whole week, and it only sells for like $220. So my client didn't make very much more money, but I recognized the name, and I can't think of her whole name. It was Danielle Colby. It was a girl from American Pickers who bought it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I was like, that name sounds familiar, so I Googled it real quick, and then it brought up her Instagram profile, so I clicked on it. And after that guy originally called me all those bad names, I kind of looked him up. She's engaged to the guy that I originally sold it to, and their Instagram pictures are together.
Oh.
But so it's a reality TV star ended up buying the ticket in auction, and he used her account to buy it. So
Wow.
Oh, damn.
Well, hey, I mean, they didn't pay much more for it, so I think it panned out how it was supposed to.
I think
Yeah.
honestly, you did the right thing. In my opinion, you definitely did the right thing. And it's kind of ironic how it all roads led to the same person. Anyways, it was meant to be that person.
If it was my personal item, I would have let it go, like I did with the lava lamp story. But this isn't mine to let go. So I just clicked the wrong button. I'm a very quick lister. I can usually list most stuff in a couple of minutes. So I just get in the zone, and I've listed tens of thousands of items to buy it now, and I forgot to switch that the little tab for the auction, and so
it happens. So your listing workflow, I saw a few videos where you're doing it right from the phone, the app. You're finding a similar item, and you're using your photos, obviously, and you're just kind of basically doing it that way. That must make you extremely fast, because that's definitely not our workflow. So is that what you're doing? And then you're
Yeah, I
cross-system.
just use the app and I go find a similar one. When I'm comping, you're already in the solds. I'll find a good one that's sold. I'm like, this listing works for a reason. It's in the sold, so that listing works. Every once in a while, I tweak the title if they put keywords in there that I don't like. Like, I don't like it when people put rare at the very first word or something like that. And I'll backspace that out. But most of the time, I try to find one I like, and then it already pulls most of the item specifics over. You got to kind of glance to make sure they don't have that information, but you already got your comp, you got your title, you got most of your item specifics. Then all you're doing is throwing your pictures. I'm not a big description guy unless it needs it. Like, if the picture tells a story and there's nothing wrong, I just kind of have a copy and paste thing that I put in there. And if there's something wrong with it, I'll put it in the description. But then I've listed so many things. If it's something small, I kind of already know the weight and I got the price, and I can knock it out in a couple minutes.
Nice.
See, that's interesting to me, because that's an entirely different thing than what we do. We bulk photograph, and then we bulk import to Nifty, and then we use generative AI to do the work for us. That's how we're quick. But I could see the value in doing it through eBay for that reason. Item specifics, country of origin seems to be a thing now for international.
Yeah, it's a big one now.
Yeah. So
now, when you guys list through Nifty, do you still have to go find a comp somewhere?
Yeah, that's the rub, and that's my software engineering in me. I've been trying to figure that out, and I think I have a solution, but I'm not sure yet.
That's why I haven't switched to an AI lister, because I still have to go to eBay and search it and find a comp. So if I've already done all that, my theory is I might as well, if I'm already on that listing, click sell similar, and it already pulls it all over for me. And with the AI listers, I already have to take the pictures, so I just got to add pictures, and I don't need the AI lister to make a title because it's already there. So until the AI listers can get the comping right, that's my issue, is because I still have to go through that first whole entire step to get a comp. So
here's my thing is, we need to be able to data mine eBay's backend to be able to get that information. And companies like WorthPoint are already doing that. They're historically going back and recording that information and then putting it on a database, and that's how that works, right? So if we can get access to that from the back end, that's how my software engineering brain works. I'm trying to figure that part out. Like, I can get it pretty honed in for like generic stuff. It's those one-offs that are throwing me, the ones that are on WorthPoint for $300 but are not showing in Terrapink because it hasn't been within 90 days, right?
I have a little inside baseball on that. I've had several, ever since I started building a little bit of a following on Facebook, I've had several AI listers reach out to me in my DMs wanting me to make videos promoting their stuff. And my first question for them is always about the comping, because I haven't found any AI listers that can comp yet, or they claim they can comp, but they're not even close. And from what I understand, eBay blocks that data from being scraped unless you pay for it. And I can't say this for sure. I'm pretty sure WorthPoint is paying for the data, and that's why WorthPoint's so expensive every month, because they're having to buy that data from eBay, I'm assuming. But
data is a commodity, so that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
From a point of view like that, yeah.
I had one reach out to me the other day where you could go into a thrift store and take pictures of all the DVDs on the shelf, and then it's supposed to read all the DVDs and then pull them up and comp by highest to lowest. So I gave their software a shot, and it was telling me that these DVDs were worth $50, and I look them up on eBay and it'd be $6 free shipping, and the comping was the downfall of it. The AI read the DVDs and identified them perfect, but it couldn't do any comping. So I feel like I needed comping to be there before I switched to an AI lister. I feel like I could I've
I
offered
feel
to
like
come
it's just a matter of,
race make a video of them racing me to see who could do it quicker. But
I feel like it's a matter of time, and this kind of brings us to an interesting subject. I don't know how much you know about agentic AI and what that looks like. Basically, it's a workforce that will work on your behalf, almost like an employee. If you didn't want to do your marketing, you can set up an agentic AI agent to do it for you based off your model and your business and all the other stuff. So there'll be like little separate workforces. That's the power of agentic AI using your already, implemented stuff. So there will become a time where we don't have to actually do any of that stuff. We just have to find the items. It's an
yeah,
interesting time to be alive.
I'm looking forward to it. If any way I can get more listings up quicker, that would be great. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Like, I think right now, as long as eBay blocks that data, it's going to be hard for anyone to make the perfect listing software.
I agree.
That's why I use Nifty for cross listing. I use it for all the back end stuff like sending offers. I have it do my end sell similars and end listings and do all my sharing on Poshmark. But I do not use that. I don't use the listing feature yet.
So I'm going to do something that I've never done before on a podcast for you, Shawn, because I enjoy you so much. I'm going to have you shout out your code for Nifty. What's your code?
Oh, no. This is your audience.
No. You're doing it now. What's your code?
No. This is yours.
No. Come on. I'm going to find out what his code is. I'm going to post it in comments.
Yeah.
My code's pretty easy to find. I share it on Facebook quite often. So.
I know. I'm gonna get it. So if you don't tell me here, I'm gonna get it and put it in the comments.
No, this is your shot. I want you guys I want this show to succeed. I actually, during COVID, I started a podcast with friends and we fizzled out, and it wasn't reselling based, and it's hard to get a podcast off the ground. So I'm rooting for you guys to pull it off.
We appreciate that. Yeah, we just had a podcast meeting yesterday, and the growth that we've had on the podcast is pretty incredible, considering that 90% of people don't sub.
Yeah.
Such a podcast. Yeah. Like a lot of the other reseller podcasts are guys who have been on YouTube and already have big YouTube followings to kind of give them that little kickstart. And you guys are really starting at the ground level. So I'm rooting for you guys.
We appreciate that. I appreciate that you recognize us in the space like that, because it is grassroots, really is for us. We're trying it from the other side of, I went from 0 people on Facebook in January to being monetized on Facebook in two months and 10 days. So
it's great what Facebook is doing, monetizing people that early on. I just started on Facebook in November, and I think I got monetized at the end of January. And it's the only platform. It's the only platform I'm monetized on, but it kind of keeps you going because I cross list all my videos on I'm using reseller because I cross post all my content on other ones, but I'm not monetized. But Facebook keeps me going because I may have fizzled out by now if it wasn't for Facebook posting on the other ones, because it's a grind to get there and you feel like no one's watching, but since Facebook starts you out so early, you're already making the content, so you might as well push upload on the other sites.
I agree. And why that's important, I want people to understand why we're doing that. It's not because we want another revenue stream. I mean, that would be important to help us pay for this podcast, because this podcast is not free. But for all the back end stuff. But why that's important is we want to showcase the ability that, like you, Shawn, that you want to show people that there's a way forward with this if they chose to do so, and why that's impactful. A lot of people are working jobs that they may not be enjoying. They're 40 hours I'll use the phrase my son uses, at the ball crushing factory for 40 hours.
I've been there, so I know exactly.
Yeah, they're doing that work.
What they're going through, and I want people to feel what I get to feel now, and it's why I try to show easy paths. Like, obviously, starting out, you're not going to know everything I have in here with sourcing. I don't want to brag on myself, but I'm pretty effective in a ton of categories because I'm an everything seller. So that's why I try to show people that you can part out vacuum cleaners and food processors, and you can go get one Dyson vacuum cleaner at Goodwill and get you 10 or 15 listings out of one. If you're trying to struggle to get listings, you get 10 or 15 listings out of one vacuum cleaner, like, and they're not just like all little $5 parts. The dustbin's like $30, and sometimes the motor's $50, and you can get a lot of money out of one vacuum cleaner and get your 10 or 15 listings for the day, because you're not gonna make it on. I get DMs every single day from new people wanting, like, what do I do? How do I get there? And I'm the first thing I ask them, like, how many listings do you have? And they're like, 600. And I'm like, you need a lot more. Like, you need to be listing at 600. Your shipping's so small. There's no reason you're not growing by 20, 25 listings every day if you're on your off days. Like, go grab a vacuum cleaner and a food processor, and you have your 25 listings for the day.
Put down the Xbox controller and put down the TV remote and stop consuming mindless information and get to work.
Scroll. Stop the doom scroll.
Doom scrolling is a thing.
Yeah.
But I know it's hard when you first start out trying to find stuff that's worth money, but that's why I try to point out the vacuum cleaners and the coffee makers and the chainsaws and all that stuff's everywhere, and you can get a decent amount of listings out of it if you can't find nothing to list. I remember back when I was part-time, I didn't have unlimited sourcing time because I worked 12-hour shifts, and there'd be days I'd have nothing to list, and I'd run to Goodwill and buy a board game just so I could get 10 listings that day because I didn't want to not list that day. So you're not going to go out and find jackpot stuff. Some of these content creators only want to show like the big, really crazy priced items, and you don't find that every day. Like, if you can go to 10 Goodwills and not buy anything, not find anything over $20 that day. But there's always that kind of stuff's in every thrift store. So
that's why I show my content the $8 to $12 range. That's why I show that stuff on Reels when I'm doing that, because that's the actual stuff. That's the bread and butter, the stuff that you could sell 20 of them a day. It might take 6 months, but if you have enough inventory, that those 6 months that it's been sitting, you have 30 things in that 6 months that are selling in a day. That adds up quickly. So that can make the difference. That's the electric bill. That's a car payment. Those are the things that we're talking about here.
And you're building like an eBay store that starts to develop daily listings, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on eBay's algorithm, but you're building trust with eBay, building feedback. eBay's seeing that you're getting your stuff shipped out every day. And my strategy when I was building is I just built as quick as I could till I got to the breaking point, which was a little over 8,000 listings. I don't know if I could handle replenishing and shipping out more, but I just got as big as I could till I knew where, like, okay, I can't do any more work. And now I'm trying to focus on replacing a lot of those $7, $8 listings with $20 listings. And as they sell off, I'm not a big deal lister. Everyone asks me how long I let something go, and I'm like, I joke around that there's sometimes something will sell. I've been with my wife 9 years, and I'll remember buying it with an ex-girlfriend at a yard sale, and I'm like,
it's been a while.
But then when that cheap old listing falls off, I'm going to replace it with a $30 listing, and just keep building and building. I haven't added, my store hasn't grown in listing size, but it's probably grown 30 grand in the last quarter in like dollar value of the inventory wise. So
profitability is what it's all about, regardless of the amount of listed. And I know that these guys have a ton of questions, so I want to see. We'll start with Ashley. Do you have any more further questions other than the pork loin sandwich, which was really important, by the way?
It's key. I'm telling you, that's key. I don't think I did. I mean, mine is. I think for me, the Xterra, like the issues you had with buying the Xterra, and like, hey, I'm a reseller, let me get my money back, and that progress going through selling the parts, I think that's genius. I think it kind of opened my eyes to other things, and it's like, toys, plush, books, I do have booths that I do home decor, that it's like some stuff, I know what to look for, but I know what I like, stuff that my clientele will buy, that sort of thing. But then it's kind of opened my eyes to other things that I need to look at, like is that a possibility for me that I could sell that? Yeah. So I think I found that very interesting for me. So I didn't have any other questions.
Yeah, it's only job in the world that you can get yourself out of that situation. Like most people would call a junkyard, they'd bring the tow truck out and they'd write you a check for $400, and that's pretty much where you'd be. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna, well, I'll make a little content out of it and
It's
get my money
genius
back
content.
eventually out of it, and get decent quality listings in my eBay store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First of all, I love those types of videos where someone goes to a junkyard and says, "I'm pulling this visor, I'm pulling this, radio, I'm doing all these things," and I'm just like watching the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah.
Those videos just slap for me. That's the kind of stuff that I like to watch. So that's probably how I came across your stuff, because a lot of what you do is kind of like that too. And I love packaging videos, and you do a ton of those where you like show people how to ship. Because a lot of times when you're new, shipping, it's what kind of puts people off of reselling, I think, when they're initially starting. So those types of videos, I think, are really impactful to a new reseller that's just starting. Where do you get your love of shipping?
It wasn't intentional. I'm in Indiana, and I started making content in November. We don't have yard sales.
Yeah.
I want to make chicken videos, but like I started making content in the wintertime, and it kind of worked out because I just kind of geared it towards. I noticed that the videos that I had the best traction were just like experienced resellers will look at my page and be like, well, "This is boring. I already know all this stuff," but I got a lot of followers from just teaching the basics to people. And now when people reach out and ask for like advice on content creation, which I shouldn't be giving content creation advice because I've only been doing it since November.
That's the perfect time to ask, in my opinion.
I feel like a lot of these pages make content for the other reseller pages. And there's only so many reseller Facebook pages that can follow you. But if you kind of make your content as this like Debbie and Lisa and John and Bob and just the regular folks, there's unlimited amount of those personal Facebook pages who are just people wanting to learn something that can follow you. So,
right.
And I feel like there's only a couple thousand Facebook reseller pages that can follow you back and engage with your stuff. But so that's just kind of been my strategy to just target the average people instead of the other reseller pages.
I think that's smart because you want to go outside the reseller niche that is already reselling. You want to bring those folks in that are not doing it. And I know Ellie's got 1,000 questions. So what do you got, Ellie?
I was going to agree. We were just talking about this, Bob, about how our reseller community on Facebook, anyways, kind of gave us that boost to start.
Yeah.
But now it's time to branch out and really reach out to outside of that community. As far as questions for you, I want to say first, listening to these interviews with some of you that have more successful businesses on Whatnot, off of Whatnot, like as a mom, like we were talking about paying extra bills, right? That's kind of what this does for me. I'm going to call myself a full-time reseller, but I make a part-time income. I don't make a whole lot. I have 4 kids. So they take up a lot of my time. But, in watching this, I am in the transitional stage to build what you guys have built with an eBay store. And so thank you for sharing, because for one, it's motivational. But I guess I did have a question as far as you mentioned you do booths and flea markets and static listing. So can you break down like percentage wise how much booths and like flea market is of that? Like, is that a good chunk of it? Because I
it's the smallest chunk of it, actually.
Okay.
Well, there's people who have really successful booths where they do thousands, $2,000-$3,000 a month. But I've come to the realization that my booth personally will never be one of those booths because all my good stuff goes on eBay.
Right.
So there's some people like their booth, they're not online. Their booth is their eBay. So all the good stuff they find is going in their booth. So they're going to do more money than me. I kind of use my booth as I go to an auction and buy a tote for $2 because it has a Canon digital camera down in the bottom of it that I'm going to get $80 for.
Right.
And the other stuff just not worth listing on eBay. I just put $1, $2, $3 tags on it and fill my booth, and so I make less than $1,000 a month in my booth. So
Okay. Well, that means
it's just more of like a way to get rid of some of the stuff that I'm not going to put on eBay.
I gotcha.
Yeah, because it coming from the booth standpoint too, because we've been in several different booths, and it's like all of our $5 and under items. That's what's paying. That's what's. I mean, that's what's going. That's the stuff they're constantly buying. Some of the higher ticket items is like once in a while, but all that under $5 is everything that they're buying, and it's like, okay, cool, you like it? Here's more, and that's kind of. I've been shuffling some stuff because our booths were mainly home decor, and I started putting some toys and plush in there, and I'm seeing a little bit of an increase, like that stuff going that I'm unable to sell on Whatnot on different stuff that I'm putting that way. And then too, I don't have to worry about shipping it is the other one. So I can see that because I'm with you. I think the most we ever made in one of our booths a while back was like, they ended up closing. So everybody in the entire where we were at, everybody was doing half off. Our prices were already low. They were buying our stuff like it was going out of style because it looked like it was on sale, but it was the price. And we need like $800, and that was that month because they were not taking any commission. We didn't have to pay the next month, so it was straight profit. And we never marked anything down and got rid of a lot. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a lot. It's not the bread and butter, but it's bringing. So
everyone that's walking through there has $5 in their pocket to buy something, but not everyone has something that $30 or $40 to spend at the flea market that day. So if I have something that was worth $40, unless I put a lot of the hard to ship things in there too. Like I think my biggest sale in there this month is I sold a cast iron like garden chair for $50 because I got it cheap at an auction, and I'm not going to put that on eBay. So it's either that kind of stuff or just the stuff I'm not going to list on eBay, like this the $3, $4 stuff. So
that we have a booth. Little known fact, probably don't give it the attention that. Well, I should say we when I said my wife has a booth in town. We don't give it as much attention as we should, but she's been doing pretty okay. I mean, she's selling Little People, Fisher Price Little People, those little toys, and then
perfect for that.
A lot of puzzles, a lot of plush and stuff like that. So it's a different experience because we're straight smack dab in the middle of a vintage booth, and we're selling modern day toys. So it's been a little bit of a climb and a little bit of struggle, but I think as people get to know like that exists, and those folks that are coming through with their kids that are just dying that don't want to be there, maybe that's our audience. So maybe they can get something. So maybe we should rethink our prices, and like you said, everybody's got $5, right?
Everyone. That's right. I try not to list stuff in under $6 or $7. I have to have a cut up a little bit. If I just take all that stuff to the booth, and most of it's stuff I have no money in. I'm a big auction guy, so a lot of times you buy one thing at an auction, you're sending you home with 10 items, and it's either take it there or throw it in the trash or donate it to Goodwill, or so it's not a big percentage of my income, but it all adds up.
So Shawn, we do this thing on this podcast. You may have seen it before, where we ask our fellow reseller who's on the podcast, who would you like to see on Launchpad Reseller podcast? ShawnsFinds.
Well, I actually have seen you ask other people this. So I have two. There's a guy on Facebook named Flip Fusion. I don't know if you follow him. He likes to go to industrial auctions, and so it's something unique. And he does more money a year on eBay than I do.
Whoa.
He goes in. He may go a couple days where he has low days, but then he'll have a $5,000 day on eBay. He buys some of these, like he goes to aerospace like facilities and buys stuff. So
genius.
It's just a completely different modeled in a yard sale, thrift store.
Yeah.
And then another one I like on Facebook that's doing something you don't see is Books and Boards. They specialize in board games.
Books and
And
boards, I'll follow them. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just a different thing and they do a very good job. Both of them do a very good job of sharing their niche and opening it up. And like Flip Fusions, you see in his comments, all the other like industrial resellers are like, "Shut up, quit sharing this," like, and he shares it all. And then Books and Boards, I think, has opened up a lot of people to the piecing out board games and stuff, which is something I said I used to do in a pinch if I didn't have anything to list that day. So I kind of admire what they do. And I think they got like 9,000 plus listings in their eBay store.
Nice.
Oh yeah. So with that being said, I want to say, Flip Fusion, if you're hearing the sound of our voice, what say you? Would you like to be on Launchpad Reseller Podcast? Also, it was Books and Boards. You've been called out. Books and Board? Okay. Books and Board. You've been called out on Launchpad Reseller Podcast. What say you? We're going to have you on the podcast. Let's do this thing. Let's scale your business in 2026, because that's what we're about here on Launchpad Reseller Podcast. And, there's so much to unpack there, because I love that reseller mentality. I really do. Can't say enough about that. Ellie's the one driving the behind the scenes of coordination for all this. And I know, Shawn, you're a one-off because you were my pick from the day one inception of this podcast. I saw something in your content that I knew before your following grew. I knew that you were going to be hot in that niche. And I'm not sure what your Facebook and all that, what that looks like, but was that right? I'm just curious. Was your following since November? What's your following grown? What's that look like?
It's gone from 0 to like 16,000 since November.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm at like 1.4 or something. we're gaining traction little by little, right?
Yeah. Sure.
My goal in 2026 was to not miss a day putting a reel out. I feel like I get the most traction and followers from my reels, so I never miss a day with at least putting one reel out, and I try to do 2 if I can squeeze one in. The Xterra has kind of helped because I can just go pull a piece off the Xterra if I
right?
need a video for it. Yeah, so right now, like I've been pulling. It's been kind of hard in the winter because I really don't do a lot of sourcing in the winter. I overbuy all summer, and I found I'm not a big Goodwill guy. Like I don't go to Goodwill very often. Unlike what my videos would show, I go to Goodwill just to make a video some days. So
you should that'd be a fun video to watch what your take is on Goodwill's prices. I think because you get it at it's a different mindset at auction. It's a different mindset in the flea market. So I would love your like hot takes about like what that looks like. That's a pretty good angle, I think. What your take on Goodwill's prices is, as opposed to what you can get it from a flea market or auction or something of that nature. I think that would open a lot of people's eyes.
To be honest, my local like Central Indiana Goodwill is like their own thing, and ours aren't crazy priced. There's there's not a lot of super quality there. Like if I go into Goodwill and find me a nice $20 plus item, that's a win. Most of the time I go in there, I've struck out where I went to go film and didn't even find something worth more than $20 in the store. So, but when they do have stuff, it's not crazy price. Like I've seen other people in their area show some insane prices. Ours aren't bad. It's just there's just not a lot of quality, and at this point, I'm trying to find at least $20 plus items. So if I list something that's under $20, it's because I don't have anything in it. So,
so I'm wondering now, have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried retail arbitrage? Or is that just the furthest thing from your mind?
A little.
Tried it?
I'm not into the clothes and shoes category. Like I'll list it if it falls into my lap, and you see that's mainly what a lot of people are finding the better deals on that kind of stuff is. So, but it's just not I bought stuff retail arbitrage, but it's not something I try to do.
Yeah, I saw a short form that you did about ball caps, like you scored a bunch of those.
Yeah, that wasn't retail arbitrage.
Oh, it wasn't okay.
It was a guy who works for a large retailer, and it's his job to get rid of like shelf pulls. And he has my phone number, and he calls me and says, "Hey, I have this many ball caps. They're $4 a piece. Come buy what you want." And he always calls me because I'll buy a couple hundred, and then I think he takes the rest down to like a VFW hall and sells them by choice.
Yeah.
But he'll call me because he knows I'll come and buy a couple hundred. So, but
Okay, I was curious about that.
every once in a while, like I'll buy something if I see it in a store, but
So
it's not really my
overbuying.
thing.
So your thing is overbuying in the good months to make up for the Indiana.
Hold on,
winter.
guys. I wasn't expecting to do this on my phone. I'm gonna go grab my charger real quick.
Okay.
Oh,
I thought I was gonna go do it on my computer.
No worries, you're good. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about our weekend reselling while you're gone. So
Bishop, hello.
give me the low, guys. How's it been? What's your weekend reselling been like last week? Ellie's like,
I got nothing.
I was like listing.
I got nothing. I made a sale, and then they, what was it? I can't even remember what sold. I made a sale on eBay,
uh-huh.
and then they asked to cancel because they put the wrong address. So I accepted the cancellation, sent them a message. Sale never came through again. So
Crickets.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I recently made a video on that situation. I always tell people to do exactly what you do, and most of the time they never come back. So you always wonder what their intentions were.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you did a series of eBay scam videos, like what to look for. So if you guys aren't tracking that, make sure you check out ShawnsFinds short form stuff. He did a series of those. Like when you're new to reselling, it can happen easily because you're so excited that you got a sale.
Yep.
You know, people are taking interest in you, and that's what they look for. They're counting on that. So
They look for the accounts with low feedback because they know you're new and they see blood in the water, and they know that the big one's the AI one now, where they're saying their item arrived damaged, and they'll send you an AI picture of it looking cracked.
I'll tell you, they'll use anything that they can just to.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Well, I'll say that started to show up a little more on Whatnot, where I hadn't really heard of it. I saw for newer sellers, and I can't remember who. I don't need to say names, but one seller said she got scammed because she got an inbox from a Whatnot support username, and it said, click this link in order to get paid. And I think she paid I don't remember how much, paid out twice to somebody in order to complete registration or something. They didn't know any better. I want to say it was an older woman who just bought it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest one that I try to tell people, because Whatnot, it even blatantly, they have a banner on your messages that says, "We will not reach out to you directly," or
they want nothing to do with you other than getting their fees.
Yeah, nothing to do with you. And like, so if you're seeing that stuff come in as a message request, I instantly block them.
Yeah.
I just start.
Yeah, so that banner though is a little newer. I know this happened at least a year ago, maybe closer to 2 years ago, because I know that banner is something newer that they started kind of putting out because so many people were creating these ridiculous, weird Whatnot support usernames,
accounts.
Yeah.
Man. So this is why one of the reasons why you need to follow folks like ShawnsFinds, because the content that you're putting out is meaningful for not just newer people, but for someone like me. We've been selling for almost 3 years, and I'm still finding value in some of that stuff. Your take on it, your perspective. Everybody has a unique perspective in reselling. And let's talk about one of those short forms real quick. It was the one where you take the package and throw it across the.
Yeah. Let me make a packaging video. Somebody has to come in there and tell you you're doing it wrong because it's the internet. So, and every time I did one, I had one video where I had 3 people arguing, telling me I used too much bubble wrap, and I had like 3 or 4 people telling me I didn't use enough bubble wrap in the same comment section. So there's always somebody in there telling you did it wrong.
Yeah.
It was awesome because he's like wrapping this thing up and packages it up, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he yeets the package, Ashley. He yeets the package across the room. I'm just like, what just?
There's
I
a
bet
funny
it had
story
that
that after that, that I shipped that to a customer, and FedEx lost it. And the buyer was messaging me back and forth, like, "Are you sure you sent it?" Because it showed it never even got scanned at FedEx, and I wanted to say I'm positive that one.
I did a whole video and everything.
Send them the
I
video
was
where
like, I
you
got video proof that I packaged that one up.
Damn, that made it through the stress test, made it through the eating, only
And
to
then
be
it got-
lost.
damn.
Only to be lost. Damn, you can't do anything about that.
That's one
But,
thing I
hey,
am guilty of. I'm not one of those that stays around and gets my packages scanned, and it
Mm.
never got its acceptance scanned.
That's a
So
lot to. I mean, that's a lot to sit around and wait for. Quite
yeah,
honestly, I've seen some of your Monday like calls, like this is my shipping from the weekend.
yes.
I'm just like, whoa.
So what does that look like for you? Do you just like sometimes people drop them at the counter? Do you have to take them to the back or?
Well, I am with my USPS. I'm very lucky since I'm in a commercial building. My town has a commercial large volume pickup route that's in the afternoon and not in the morning with your regular mail. And they come and pick me up and like 4 or 5 other larger shippers. So I'm on that route. But the only bad part about it is they come anywhere between like 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So since I'm not at home, there's no like I don't leave till the post office gets there. But then I'm in a small town. We don't have a FedEx or UPS. We have like a authorized shipping store that.
Oh, we lost audio.
Oh, audio went.
Uh-oh. Well, while Shawn figures that audio out, let's. He made another video. You guys got to watch his short form. It's genius. While he's figuring out his audio, he takes this package, and he's like, "A $10,000 items in here. You guys aren't gonna believe this." And he takes this package, and he's like, "Yeah, it sells on eBay for $10,000." And he takes a bowling ball. He said, "We're gonna stress test this." He takes a bowling ball and just drops it on the package. It's so awesome, and I'm just like, "What just happened?"
Yikes!
And he pulls it out, and it's a Beanie Baby. I was just like, "Oh, it's like get out of town."
A Beanie Baby in the package,
or whatever, a pillow pad. And then I message him. I say, "Hey, Shawn, that thing's worth $33 on Etsy. Just so you know."
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay.
I was just telling everybody, regaling them with stories of your bowling ball.
I can hear you guys fine. Yeah, I heard you.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
No, I need to cross-list it on Etsy. That's the one platform I don't use on Nifty is Etsy. So
I would recommend just starting. I mean, it's sometimes the juice in the squeeze is not always, worth it on Etsy because it's 20 cents for every.
Yeah, that's my sticking point there. And then you pay the 20 cents regardless whether it sells there or not. And if it sells on eBay or Poshmark or something, you're out the 20 cents. So
that was my passion project.
You have 8,000 listings. That could be that's pretty pricey to cross list them all on there, or the eligible items on there.
So that was my passion project when I first started. I paid it forward on that one, and I nurtured it, and I treated it like a child. Like it was my love. Like this Etsy, like it was ridiculous. Like every customer custom wrapped their package. Like it was wild. Like my level of expectation was right here. It wasn't down here with eBay. But in doing so, we created something that's meaningful now because it is absolutely a horse race between eBay and Etsy now.
That's great.
We built this thing to be like a velocity engine, just like eBay. We're selling half as many things for more money there our average sale price, I want to say, is $40-something on it on Etsy
Mm.
because of the vintage market, and it's a different class of buyer. Think of it like Walmart and Target, right? There's no wrong way there. It's what you can afford to buy. But think about the clientele at Target as opposed to Walmart, right? They have maybe a little bit more income and they can spend a little bit more money. So I think what you're seeing is those 35 to 50, 60-year-old folks are on Etsy looking for specific items from a certain time period and era. They're buying back their childhood, they're buying back nostalgia, whatever that angle is. We're seeing it in the numbers. Like I'm getting the same amount of money out of Etsy and half the items listed. So I totally recommend doing that and trying to maybe pay it forward a little bit. Maybe not at the scale that you're at, but maybe just a few items. Like
Yeah, it'd be a good
100
idea.
items.
Well, that Beanie Baby we were talking about, you said that it could go for 30 on Etsy. I've had that listed for like 14 and some change for 6+ months on eBay, and it's this old stale listing. So
I'm telling you, I don't know what it is about certain items. We saw a ton of TY on Etsy. There's just a market for it on that platform. And I'm very transparent about that kind of thing. If you're going to sell it on Etsy, I recommend doing it because there's just more money there. And I'll sell things for 20 to 30% more than I will on eBay, honestly. And I'm okay with that because that's just the platform. There's more fees in regards to your initial setup. And I'm buying back some of that initial investment that I did originally now. So everything equals out over time, but yeah, it's really grown in a large way, and Nifty makes it so easy. Why not try, right?
Yeah, well, most listings are 2 clicks on Nifty. You click and then it puts it in the right category for you. It just click the list it button, and that's pretty much it on most stuff. So I love it, and I'm a big believer in getting your stuff in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So.
Yeah, see, sometimes with the eBay, I mean, you do have to unlock global shipping. I don't think they automatically give it to you when you first start on eBay. But the thing about Etsy is the same thing. For us, as soon as we unhitched global shipping on Etsy, it was just wildfire at that point. I've seen people pay almost 3 times as much as the item globally to get that item because they cannot find it anywhere else. And the only place to get it is on Etsy. So we've had sales from all over the world come through there, and it's just crazy to witness that type of growth.
Isn't there some limitations also on eBay as far as the toy category?
Yeah, I think for particular items for tariffs, there's certain HS codes, I think they're called, where you can't ship certain class of items to the UK. Specifically, plush is always a bone of contention for me. There's something in that tariff code that says you cannot ship a used item in that category over. But it's interesting because that same item can be shipped to the UK through Etsy. So I'm not exactly sure.
And Depop, I think.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure why that is or what their workaround, or if Etsy's just being very eBay. Got to remember, eBay is also a private corporation, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the first sale doctrine doesn't apply to eBay. Like if they want to Vero your item, they could do that because that doesn't apply to them because it's a private corporation.
That's crazy.
They can make that decision on your behalf, and you got to abide by it because it's their platform and they can make the rules.
Yeah.
So,
oh shoot.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I recommend Etsy. You want another 30, 40 grand out of your business, Shawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The 20 cents isn't bad for the people on Etsy who are selling like one SKU and they're making it or a handmade item and they're using one listing to ship. That's a great deal. I just wish they'd adjust it for like the one-off items.
Yeah.
I understand why they charge it for someone who's going to sell tens of thousands of items off one listing, but your one-offs, that adds up pretty quick if you have a bunch of listings.
Right.
Yeah, it does add up quick, and you're right. And the other thing too is be careful because they'll sign you up for ad services, promoted services through Google, which is not necessarily bad. I'll pay $5 to make 50 all day. That's just my model. So they'll do that type of thing. So you have to actually opt out of it. So if you're hearing this, just know that they might have signed you up. Just go back in your settings and look at that. If you're not into that game, taking $5 off the top to make 50. I mean, I personally am okay with it.
Well, that's another reason for the pricing, I think, because I didn't know about it. And when I was looking at my numbers afterwards, I'm like, what is this extra fee? What is this? If I had known, I would have just incorporated it and bumped it, a little bit. So
Yeah.
I know a guy who accidentally signed up for eBay's off-listing promotions, and he ended up paying $110 in promoted listing fees on a stocking cap on eBay, and he didn't even sell it, and he only had it listed for like $14.99.
Yikes!
Because he was paying per click off the site and didn't have a cap on it.
Yeah, those are the lessons that you'll never forget, because those are the ones that slap the hardest, or the ones that slap the hardest like that. You never forget those. So I love hearing stories like that, though.
He came to me and he was like, I thought you said you promote. How do you afford this? And I'm like, I don't do that kind of promoting.
There's definitely different levels of promotion. For sure. Speaking of that, do you promote your eBay store?
I promote everything at like 2.1%. So all my listings, as soon as I list it, I have just an automated process where it just automatically puts everything and promotes it instantly. So I used to go back and like a month later and go back and bulk promote stuff, and then it got sloppy because then you got Nifty messing with the order of your stuff because it's doing recreate. So I just said, I'm just going to do it from the gun, to drop and just promote everything at 2.1%.
Nice.
Before we wrap this thing up, I want to talk about where you are in your road to 500K. You made a post about it the other day, but for those that might be watching this, just a quick update. Where do you think you are? Are you behind schedule? Are you tracking? What do you think is next, and what do you think the next quarter and the year is going to bring?
I am behind pace currently. I think I'm going to end quarter one just shy of 100,000 between everything, which would, in theory, put you at a pace for about 400,000. Obviously, quarter four is going to be way bigger, and so it really just depends how the summer goes and if I can make up some ground during the summer, because I don't know if quarter four will be that good. So right now, I'm going to guess that I'm probably going to do closer to like 425, 450, but I'm going to keep pushing and try to make it happen.
Yeah.
Do you think, it's a quick question on that, do you think social media is slowing you down any, or do you think
it's definitely slowing me down? I think in November I had 8,700 listings, and I currently have around 8,200 listings. So now the dollar number's up because I'm focusing on better quality items, but
I think the value in what you're building in the community will resonate back through your content and will help eventually. So I want to encourage you to keep going, because I think that's the way for that, and it will show people. I think it's important to set goals that are, I want to say, attainable, because I think you can reach it. Honestly, I'm going to put it out there in faith that you're going to be able to reach it this year. But I also think it's important to have stretch goals too. You need to push yourself. Growth is painful. We've talked about it a bazillion times on this podcast. But I want to encourage everybody that's listening to us to set attainable goals, short-term goals, and also long-term goals for your reselling business. It's super important, and Shawn's the prime example of that.
Absolutely.
Everything I've ever done good, and like building my eBay store was a big, long grind. So I'm hoping the grind of social media pays off, and who knows, one day I might be making some of the money that the big guys on there make, but you can't do it unless you start somewhere.
Right.
Yep.
Every journey begins with a first step. That's for sure.
Yes.
Shawn, we can't thank you enough for being on the podcast. We appreciate you. And we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Usually we go to the comments for questions and stuff like that. But today we're going to do something different. If you have a question for ShawnsFinds, I want you to go ahead and leave it in the comments for this video. And also what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and collab. Shawn, I'll send you a link for collaboration on YouTube. If you'd like to do that, welcome to. If you don't want to, that's okay too. And then we'll go ahead and so that way you can react with your or interact with your audience and see if we can get the conversation going in comments. Again, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. I want to remind you guys, if you can't be good at it. Shawn, stick around. We got one more question for you before we wrap things up. We're going to end it right here. Appreciate you guys.